को ले चलते हैं नेसिन के फाउंडेशन डे पर, जहां पर वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली शिरकत कर रहे हैं।
And now for the last yet the most awaited medal of the event. The prestigious Finance Minister's Gold Medal is awarded to the best probationer in the batch for scoring highest marks in the overall assessment. The Finance Minister's Gold Medal for 2015 batch goes to Dr. Faridabad. It is now time to thank the foreign training partners for their long-standing association with NACIN. I now request the Honorable Finance Minister to present mementos of appreciation to them. The World Customs Organization, NACIN, has been accredited as the regional training center of WCO in Asia Pacific region in the field of capacity building since 2004. I request Mr. Kazunari Igarashi, Head of Asia Pacific Regional Office for Capacity Building, World Customs Organization, to please come to the dais. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, NACIN, has signed an MOU with UNODC in 2010 for strengthening the drug law enforcement activities in South Asia region. I request Mr. Sergey Kafinos, UNODC representative for South Asia, to come to the dais. The United Nations Environment Programme, NACIN, signed an MOU with UNEP in 2003 to prepare a strategy document for delivering trainings and training materials for Train the Customs Trainers workshops in certain selected countries. I invite Mr. Atul Bagai, Senior Regional Coordinator, UNEP Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. The Russian Customs Academy, NACIN, signed an MOU with Russian Customs Academy in 2006 for mutual exchange of faculty and students for the purpose of training, retraining, and sharing of experience. Since then, regular exchange programs on annual basis have been conducted, resulting in mutual benefits in the area of capacity building. Today we have with us Mr. Igor V. Kalinin, representative of the Federal Customs Service of the Russian Federation. The Asian Development Bank, NACIN, has been working in close collaboration with ADB to provide training in capacity building in customs in the region. I request Mr. Kenichi Yokohama, Country Director, Asian Development Bank, to please come to the dais. No training institute can be successful without a word of appreciation for the faculty who have made it happen. Many faculty have rendered exceptional services to NACIN. On the occasion of the first NACIN Founding Day, significant contribution of top 3 in-house faculty is being recognized. I request the Honorable Finance Minister to present the certificates of appreciation. First, Shri Gopi Donti Reddy, Deputy Director, NACIN Hyderabad. Assistant Director, NACIN Bengaluru. Shri Sanjay Saraswat, Superintendent, NACIN Vadodara. Shri Deepak Mata, as a special mention for his outstanding contribution in preparing the GST learning resources. Shri Samir Bajaj, ADG NACIN Mumbai, as a special mention again for preparing the GST learning resources. Thank you, sir. Today, we are indeed privileged to have the Honorable Finance Minister among us. Every thought you produce, anything you say, any action you do, it bears your signature, sir. Everyone would like to hear you personally, sir, on this occasion. I take this opportunity to invite you to deliver the valedictory address.
The chairperson of the CBEC, Srimati Vanjana Sarna, the member trainee, Sri Ramesh, Srimati Tiwari, all the IRS officers of the 67th batch who passed out today, their family members, parents, senior officials, faculty members, and other friends present in this auditorium today. Let me at the very outset congratulate NACIN for having taken the initiative after years and decades of its existence, of establishing this institution of celebrating its foundation day. A foundation day really is a day of celebration where every year the institution becomes more experienced by one more year. And therefore it becomes more mature, it celebrates, it introspects, it professionalizes and it improves. And I'm sure, considering the wide and the rapid spread of NACIN, from what the chairperson said when she trained from a small house in Hoskas to not only the principal academy in Faridabad, but now establishing a much bigger academy in Andhra Pradesh and several regional academies. Its capacity to sharpen the skills of its trainees and even in-service officers will hugely improve. It's also a very landmark day in the life of all the 147 officers of the 67th batch who are passing out today. For the last 18 years, when I first became a part of the government in 99, I've almost without a break had an opportunity to be at the Civil Services Academy in Mussoorie every year, at least once. And I've noticed even in these 18 years, a great change that I see in terms of the background of the officers who've been selected. And I'm sure the same would be the impact in the revenue services and also the police services and other civil services itself. Originally, it was perceived to be an elite service where students studying out and passing out of a few courses in a few elite institutions in the country managed to succeed in the civil services examination. Today that's not the case. The slow evolution that I have seen, both the social spread and the geographical spread of these services has radically changed. And it's increasingly becoming a much bigger mirror of the Indian society. And therefore its connect to the roots of Indian society is probably far greater. And I'm sure with an opportunity now gradually becoming more equitable in terms of persons of varied backgrounds, your last 2 years of training would have given you a great opportunity to have a closer look at the country itself. You would have dealt with persons belonging to different social groups, different geographical regions, different attitudes, and would have come to know what really is the true character of Indian society itself. Additionally, the socio-economic spread of the service having expanded, there is also a greater realization that both your families as also the revenues of the state, that is the people of India, have put in their hard-earned labor and monies, their resources, into developing what you really are. You've gone through educations which have been supported by your families and by the states. You've gone through an extensive training, and now you are at a threshold of a new career. And while you are at a threshold of a new career, you really have to determine for yourself in your career the kind of roadmap that you have to follow. You are in a service where various roads are available. You have those routes also available which will certainly ensure that you fall off the track sooner or later. And there are those routes available where you earn excellence, you earn credibility, you earn respect, you earn peer recognition. And when you retire, you go out with your heads held high that you've delivered what was really expected from you. And therefore, for each one of you, I think the choice that you have to make is at the very beginning of your career itself. And I can assure you, eventually, the later part is a more arduous part, it's a more difficult and a more challenging part. But it's a more stable part, it's a more credible path, and it's more likely to succeed. You are going to be dealing with the indirect tax structures of India. And of course, the indirect tax structures of India in a transformational, growing society has a great importance. There's always been a difference between a direct tax and an indirect tax. Direct taxes are paid normally more by the more affluent, somewhat by the others, and certainly not by the weaker sections. But the impact of indirect tax places a burden on all. And therefore an effort is always made as a part of fiscal policy to ensure that commodities which deal more, which are consumed more by common people, are in fact the least taxed compared to others. But revenues have a great importance in society. Between the time that you are joining your service and the times that you will retire from service, India would have probably transformed from a developing, emerging economy into a developed economy. And your career is going to see that transformation. And when you see that transformation, revenue is the lifeline of governance. It's the lifeline of all developmental activity. Just imagine in India, which had some more money to put into our national security, which had some more money year after year to put into rural India, which had some more money to put into our infrastructure. Now, when people have a right to demand development, they have also a responsibility to pay what is required for that development. And therefore, that's the money which has to be spent honestly for the larger benefit of the people and for the larger benefit of the country itself. And in a society where there has been a large leakage, a society which did not conventionally mind being a tax non-compliant society, today is undergoing a transformational change where people are now slowly realizing the virtues of greater compliance. And these virtues of greater compliance have to come with passage of time. And that's one of the reasons why we've integrated all taxes, or most taxes, into one, and are in the process of establishing a chain. Once the chain is established, we are in the first 2 or 3 months. We have always, almost by the day, a space and scope for improvement. We have a space for improvement and a need for improvement to reduce compliance burdens as far as small taxpayers are concerned. We have a space for improvement eventually, once we become revenue neutral, to think in terms of bigger reforms, such as lesser slabs, but for that we have to become revenue neutral plus. And it is to ensure this, we have to certainly ensure larger presence. What is your duty as a tax person? Your duty as a tax person is to be firm and fair. In taxation law, there are never grey areas. If tax is payable, it's certainly payable. And if it's not payable, it's not payable. You don't have to extort taxes out of those who are not liable to pay, or who are not liable to pay a certain amount. But you are certainly entitled to collect taxes from those who are liable to pay. And therefore, the underlying principle which every tax person has to remember is the cardinal rule that when you are in doubt, you have to go straight. You have to look at the rule book and comply with the rule. And therefore, standards of fairness must be the highest, and standards of compliance must be the highest. How do you bring a balance between the two? as a tax person, you do not have to invite fear. You have to invite a respect that you are somebody who is wanting people to comply in the performance of a national duty. The distinction between these two roles is very subtle, but it does exist. And as you mature greatly in your career, you will probably learn how to maintain that distinction. You will have great opportunities to work throughout the length and breadth of India. You will have an opportunity to work depending on which departments are assigned to you. You could be doing some revenue intelligence work, you could be doing customs work, you could be doing the GST work. And it will be a great opportunity to learn about businesses, learn about manufacturing processes, learn when the incidence of tax falls. And therefore, a casual approach will always have to be avoided and replaced by an approach of being thorough. Your orders must read well. You are going to be judged by your orders, by your conduct and by your credibility. In any profession, the best recognition is what your peers think of you, how your service regards you. When your seniors will announce your posting orders for your next post, they'll bear all this in mind. And I think each one of you should endeavor to come out with flying colors. Your families have invested a huge lot in you. And I'm sure some 30, 35, 36 years later, when you retire from your service, you will walk with a sense of satisfaction and with your heads held high as to that you've served your service and served the country well. I wish you all the very best, and I wish NACIN all the very best on its Founders Day. Thank you.
I thank the Honourable Finance Minister for his encouraging words as the officer trainees take their first step in the field of taxation. We promise to...
तो आप देख रहे थे सीधा प्रसारण नेसिन के स्थापना दिवस समारोह का, जहां पर केंद्रीय वित्त मंत्री अरुण जेटली ने मुख्य अतिथि के रूप में शिरकत की। इसके साथ ही उन्होंने कहा कि नेसिन में पिछले 18 सालों में काफ़ी बदलाव आया है, गुणवत्ता में, प्रशिक्षण में, और जो नए अधिकारी हैं उनसे इस प्रशिक्षण कौशल का, अपनी जिम्मेदारियों का उसके मुताबिक निर्वहन करने का उन्होंने आह्वान भी किया। उन्होंने कहा कि उन्हें विविध प्रकार की सर्विसेज में बहुत से चैलेंजेस देखने को मिलेंगे, लेकिन किस तरह से इस कौशल का इस्तेमाल किया जाए वो उनको देखना है, और इसी के लिए उन्होंने उनके सुखद भविष्य का भी आह्वान किया।